Today we're talking about the Mavic Air 2 from a professional use case scenario. This little drone packs a lot of bang for its buck, and if you're a budding photographer, somebody just starting out and you have a limited budget, do you need to spend big money to add aerials to your kit? The short answer of this is no, but I've got a more detailed explanation, so let's get started. What is good, everybody? Ken here. You're watching Original Dobo, and on this channel, I cover everything from drone and tech to tutorials and videos just like this talking about how to better your business. So today we're talking about the Mavic Air 2 from a professional use case scenario. And I've used this drone for the past couple of gigs, and I've just been really curious because of its size, its weight, its portability, how it was going to do, and if my clients would notice that I was using what I would consider, more of a budget drone. And the short answer to that is no, nobody noticed whatsoever, and I've been really impressed with the quality off this card. So let's start off with the first reason why you may want to choose this if you're looking to start a photography business and you want to throw in some aerials. Well, first things first, I have most of my gear that I bring into a house here sans a tripod. You've got your gimbal. I've got another camera here that I mount to my gimbal to do my video walkthroughs. I've got a 8200 Pro, and then I have my photo camera, which I take all my photos with. Now this kit right here costs a lot of money. And then when you throw in, the cherry on top, which is the aerial videography or photos, this becomes very expensive and may become really overwhelming for many new photographers. Now, I did a video a couple of months back where I talked about some budget equipment, and at the time I mentioned the Autel Evo as a great budget-friendly drone. But I think if I had to revise that kit today, I would probably add in the Mavic Air 2 because at $799, this drone offers everything that the Autel Evo did, the Autel Evo 1 did, at a better, much more affordable price, and it's a little bit more refined. All right, battery life on this drone is probably one of the most attractive things for a professional. You're getting 30 minutes of flight time. Now it's rated for 34, but in my testing of moving around and being able to shoot at home, I get roughly about 28 to 29 minutes of flight in total before I have to change batteries. If you get the Fly More kit, you obviously get 3 batteries included with your purchase, which makes life a lot easier. Simplicity and ease of use is also really important for a photographer because speed is everything. I don't want to spend more than 40 minutes at a home, and especially if I'm shooting multiple houses a day, I want to get in, get out, and get on. So this is where a couple of drawbacks can occur with the Mavic Air 2. As far as getting up in there, power it on, power the controller on, you get your phone in, and it sits perfectly. Now I actually did switch my case because yes, the UAG case was not working on this. It kept clicking my volume button and power button, so I'm using a Moment case for my iPhone 11, and the Moment case is still relatively protective, but it fits in here perfectly and I'm able to get going. For the most part, this thing is fast. In all the houses that I shot this week, I didn't have any issues with airport clearance because I wasn't with any controlled airspace. However, when I get closer to some of the developments that are near the airport by me, I do have to self-unlock and authorize. Now, it's not a huge deal, but if you know you're going to be near an airport, make sure you go there ahead of time to see if you can actually unlock your craft before you show up on a shoot and have egg on your face. That's happened to me several times with the Mavic 2 Pro, and it left me not being able to do aerials until the next day when I brought my Evo. So because of that, just make sure you can self-unlock and plan ahead. It's one thing that you're just gonna have to learn to do if you want to use a DJI drone. I guess it's a small sacrifice for the price, and I know I'm sort of talking out of both sides of my mouth on that, but it is something that you can do. You can go and sort of scout out a gig and make sure your equipment's going to function beforehand. Shouldn't even have to do that, but I digress. As far as the video quality goes, for most of the shoots, I've actually just left it in automatic. It was only yesterday's shoot that I actually put it over into manual mode, and I didn't even use HDR. I used 4K 60 on the house, and I think it looked great. I did not use D-Cinelike, and if you watched my color grading tutorial, you'll also know that I was really happy with the colors because they matched up very well with my Sony camera. I had to do minimal correction to even get them to look similar to one another. The contrast and saturation was pretty much right on par. There was good detail in the grass, good detail in the highlights, and great detail in the shadow areas. And I have zero qualms about anything with that. I think it looks more than acceptable. The auto white balance did a great job of sort of balancing out that sort of cool yet warm tone. It just looked really natural, a lot like my Sony a6600 did. Moving over into photos, I utilize auto bracketed exposures. Now I know this thing can shoot 48 megapixels, but the problem with shooting in 48 megapixels is one, you don't need that many megapixels for real estate photography, and two, you're only getting JPEGs, you are not getting raw photos. So when I can, I will always absolutely shoot a 3 bracket exposure. Now that doesn't mean I'm blending those brackets together. A lot of times what I'll do is just choose the best of the brackets or maybe pieces of that bracket to blend to get my image. Now for all these shots, I'll include the before shot and the after shot of it, and the final shot, which you can see in some instances I did have to replace the sky just because you don't always get to choose the weather that you are shooting in. But all in all, I think the details look great. There was minimal distortion. I think this camera does really well with verticals. And I'm not even sure what is this, 84-degree field of view. So that's actually really acceptable. And the 2.8 aperture works great. And honestly, I have no complaint with the images. I was really concerned about distortion, and I didn't notice any in the photos. I also didn't really notice too much fringing. No purple edges, no color tint. I mean, it looked good. And I think that's important when you're dealing with client work. Now, moving over to the video side of life, you don't have a variable aperture. So you are going to need to get yourself some ND filters. Now, if you bought the Fly More combo, it does come with ND filters, but they suck. So I would recommend picking up a set of Freewell ND filters because these are definitely going to be able to control the shutter speed to where it will be double your frame rate. Now for all the shoots, I did go ahead and pop on the Freewell ND filters, and I used an ND8 for most of them, especially when I was shooting in 4K 60 frames per second. The quality of these filters are excellent, and they clip on just like the DJI filters. You also get a PL filter, and you get a UV filter in here as well. So if you want to just replace what your filter doesn't already have, you can definitely do that. So pretty happy with the quality of those filters and the ability to control that shutter speed. It's not super ideal. I still would rather have a variable aperture, but this definitely works. So what's my conclusion here? Well, I think that this drone can definitely get by for multiple shoots professionally. I don't think you need to spend big money on a Mavic 2 Pro unless if you're doing certain inspections which require a 1-inch sensor or higher resolution photos that are in RAW. But for everything else, I think the Mavic Air 2 does work really well. Now, something that I did notice that started happening with this drone specifically is after I've started using it and charging it, I do notice that I do have a little distension on my batteries, and they no longer sit flush like they were. So my recommendation still, as soon as you fly this thing, make sure you're pulling your batteries so you don't leave them in a hot unit. I hope that this is not something that becomes more of a problem like it is on the Mavic 2 Pro. It's really hard to tell, but sitting on a flat surface, you can rock it back and forth. And this one only has 3 cycles on it. So hopefully not something that I'm gonna have to contend with more in the future. But my recommendation, mark your batteries, especially if you have 3, mark them 1, 2, 3, and make sure you are charging them and keeping your cells relatively close to one another. I just want to throw that out there because it's something that's I sort of noticed. But yeah, all in all, I'm very happy with this, and I will probably use this more on shoots. Now, with that said, DJI does need to add some things to the application to make it a little bit more usable, like some gimbal calibrations and maybe allowing us to adjust the sticks and the yaw sensitivity a little bit. But beyond that, you can flip it into tripod mode, and that works really well. Speaking of some things that I did notice, as I was trying to pull into this mobile home community house today for a shoot, I did have an issue where as I was pushing forward and I was not in sport mode, the drone was drifting to the right. So I had sticks full forward, and I had to actually shoot that shot several times. So drift can happen on any drone, whether it's wind or whether it's calibration. A lot could have to do with it. Now, in that mobile home community, if you notice, a lot of those roofs were done with metal, and there's just a lot of aluminum in that community because it's a mobile home community, it's Florida. So that could have a little bit to do with the drift that I was seeing. But there you go. That's my thoughts on this professionally. Pretty happy with this. If you guys want some of the raw photos, I will go ahead and throw some raws out there so you can play with if you're unsure of this drone, if it's going to work for you. I know photographers always like to check a raw photo of a camera first, and that's usually their telltale sign whether or not it's going to work for them. But I'll go ahead and drop some raws into the Google Drive so you guys can play with. But all in all, pretty impressed. Price to value ratio, I think it gets the job done. All right, if you have any questions, I'll be in the comment section down below. And as always, stay original. All right, so stupid comment of the week. This came from Type XXI-Wolf. I'm out of this channel. I almost feel like I should read this like Trump would read it. I'm out of this channel. Too much ad-related content and too much drama in the thumbnail war. Unsubscribe for the same reason. Drone Valley, Ed Ricker, and Kyle whatever. Wolf, his name is Billy Kyle, okay? Unique content is king, not that you can use that for buy here chain of ads. That made absolutely no sense, and I would know. Sorry, I'm out, and cuz Spo, So Spark, and Mini, and now the Air 2, cuz any Mavic 2 can flight longer and have more stable camera in any windy condition, with a better range, signal strength, and penetration, with better range. But that truth might hurt air sales and driven by affiliate sales. I don't work for affiliate sales, I work for drone work, so go fuck yourself. Therefore, I had returned the Air 2 to DJI. I'm gonna guess that you never actually had the Air 2. Cause I'll stay with my Mavic 2 Pro and got brand new zoom for cheap as warehouse deal. Was that as or as warehouse deal? I don't know. Then Air 2. And then Original Dobo replies with, let me speak on behalf of all of us when we say no one gives a flying fuck what you think. Sucks a prop. God, monologuing is fun.